It's impossible to convey the depth and breadth of how sorry I am to each and every one involved.
You took an oath to do no harm, and you have harmed over 256 women, and that is beyond comprehension.
With that, former Michigan State University sports doctor Larry Nassar is heading to prison, most likely for the rest of his life. Nassar was sentenced this morning for the sexual assaults of 3 young female athletes in Eaton County, and it was the third and likely the last sentencing phase he will face for molesting hundreds of girls and women over the last 2 decades. WZZM 13's Emma Nicholas was in Charlotte for today's hearing. She joins us now with more, Emma.
That's right, Juliet. More than a year-long investigation by the Attorney General's office, days of victim impact statements in both Ingham and Eaton County, and countless hours of work among survivors and investigators combined, all amounted to Nassar's final day in criminal court.
Prepubescent girls lined up, one after the other to be abused. A cattle call of victims.
Larry Nassar will live the rest of his days behind bars. While there were fewer faces in the seats reserved for survivors, Rachel Denhollander, the first woman to speak publicly about the abuse, was among them.
We have taken care of one perpetrator. We have not taken care of the systems that allowed him to flourish for 20 years.
Assistant Attorney General Angela Povolitis' final words were directed at those who enabled Nassar.
This nice guy doctor thrived at a place like Twistars, where cruel, harsh, mean, and abusive coaches were the norm.
And those on the outside shaming not only the survivors, but their families.
Only cynical, dark-hearted people would routinely and repeatedly attack victims in their motivations. It could have happened to any parent. This defendant fooled police officer parents, doctor parents, engineer parents.
To those parents still holding guilt, Povolitis said to let go.
Because they are not broken, and you are not broken parents.
Just before Judge Janice Cunningham handed down her sentence, she also called out the adults who failed young women over the last 2 decades.
It is unfathomable to think about the number of victims that would have been spared had authorities acted upon the complaints received years ago.
Cunningham sentenced Nassar to up to 125 years.
The sentence in this case must send a message.
The legal proceedings regarding Larry Nassar are over, but Denhollander says their next fight is only beginning.
We will now be turning our attention with even greater force to the institutional dynamics that led to the greatest sexual assault scandal in history.
Under Nassar's plea agreement, the 54-year-old former doctor will first serve his entire 60-year federal sentence for child pornography and then begin serving both his Ingham and Eaton County sentences up to 175 years. Judges in his state cases both believe he will die in prison. Nassar is still facing dozens of civil lawsuits, all from the survivors of his sexual abuse. Nick?
Still a lot more to unpack as all this moves forward. Thank you, Emma.